Welcome back, friends. It's James Kalm, your half-assed reporter, the guy on the bike. Special shout-out to our viewers in Warsaw and Rome. And we're going to try to slip in here to the David Richard Gallery and see Thank you very much. And we're going to see a Thornton Willis show. Hello. Is this the survey of the paintings from 1967 to... 67 to 2017. Okay, thank you. I think we'll start out doing this chronologically. So the title of the show is A Painting Survey, 6 Decades, Work from 1967 to 2017. And chronologically, I think this is the earliest piece in the show. This is from 1969. And it's titled Red Wall. It's acrylic on canvas, 110 by 112 inches. So that's roughly about a 9.5 foot square. Now I think that I covered a Thornton show out at Sideshow in Brooklyn. This has got to be 10 or 12 years ago, where they showed some of his early paintings. And I think he actually talked a little bit about the process. One of the things that he said was that I think he painted these on the floor, but he also tried to paint these in like one go, one continuous stretch, and maybe he went on for couple of days and maybe took some naps in between, but tried to keep the process going. And I guess at that time there were some kind of conceptual artists that were doing similar things. I know that Lee Lozano did a whole series of abstract paintings that she tried to do in one sitting or in one run, and was working on them for 3 or 4 days. Although I think she might have had some pharmaceutical help with that. So I believe this is part of the next, or one of the next series of works that Thornton started. This is titled Full House. This is from 1981. I think the first time that I started seeing Thornton's work was during Barbara Rose's Painting of the 80s show, so that was actually 1979, and both Thornton and his wife, Vera Lieb, were in the show, but Thornton was working on this series, the Wedge series, and well, I saw the work, it stuck in my mind, and whenever I would see a Thornton show, I'd try to drop in and see what was going on. I was also thinking that there was an article talking about Thornton recently, and they were talking about his relationship with abstract expressionism, and although I like abstract expressionism and realize that it's a vital signpost as far as American art goes, that I think Thornton has gone beyond quote-unquote abstract expressionism and has introduced some other elements, more maybe geometrical abstraction or even color field. Okay, this is another large painting. This is titled Hot Shot. And I think they're calling this series the Zigzags, or Zigzag. It's 108 by 120, so it's roughly 9 by 10 feet, something like that. Well, as I said, I was thinking that Thornton has kind of branched out beyond straight abstract expressionism and brought in a more, what would I say, conceptual, maybe formalistic, structural aspect to it. And I guess you could say that people like maybe Rothko with his floating rectangles, or maybe Barnett Newman, this big zip paintings might be precedences for his kind of reductive abstraction. As I was saying, I think Thornton has kind of pushed what I think is a more elegant and formalist, maybe even geometrical aspect of abstraction. Okay, this one over here is another zigzag. This is titled Brown Zinger, 1983. This is acrylic on canvas, 84 by 54. One of the things that Thornton does have in common with the classic abstract expressionist is that he's done a lot of work that is pretty large scale. Also, it was interesting to see how Thornton did a lot of this early work was in acrylic, and then I know that I visited his studio probably over the last 20 years, something like that, and he was doing a lot of work in oil. I actually kind of, well, I've had a prejudice against acrylics because they were so plasticky, but I have a new appreciation as I've started to see some of these acrylics age, and well, there's a certain kind of fragility. Even though it's kind of plastic paint, it's not impervious to time. And I was always kind of a fan of what happens to paintings over time. Okay, this is one of the Lattice series. This is titled Lattice number 2, 1986. It's acrylic on canvas, 78.5 by 58. Well, so this is interesting because Thornton has gone back and picked up the idea of the lattice paintings again. I think you could probably go into the files. I've probably got 3 or 4 programs featuring Thornton's exhibitions. I like his little pencil lines in there. And I think probably about 6 or 7 years ago, he picked up a show of his at Elizabeth Harris where he was doing the lattices, but at that point they were all oil. I think the other thing I like is that Thornton is quite a sensual colorist, and it's one of the things I've always enjoyed. And although I have to say that I think with the oil paintings you get a little more variation in the surfaces of the paintings. Okay, well, for this tour, we're going to end up looking at this piece. It's titled Brooklyn Bridge, 1993. It's acrylic on canvas. I've actually got a small piece that I traded with Thornton from this period. And again, this is abstract, but I think that this, rather than classic abstract expressionism or action painting or gestural abstraction or whatever you want to call it, I think this is much more formal and geometric. Okay, this is what we enjoy, the little notations here. He's got his little corrections. I think that's one of the things that he does have, along with the classic abstract expressionists and even the action painters, is that he has a very direct approach to the canvas. You know, this isn't prissy, it isn't precious. He's grinding out his idea. So this has been James Kalm reporting on Thornton Willis here at the David Richard Gallery. It's been a painting survey, 6 decades, works from 1967 to 2017. Welcome back, viewers. It's James Kalm, your half-assed reporter, the guy on the bike. We're going to stop in here at the Michael Werner Gallery and check out a show by Markus Lupertz. Stay tuned. Dithyramb? Dithyramb. Okay, thank you. So this is an exhibition by Markus Lupertz titled The Grace of the 20th Century is rendered visible by the Dithyramb I Have Invented painting from 1963 to 1976. And we'll start over here. I first got a glimpse of a Markus Lupertz painting. It was probably 1973. I was in Berlin and I dropped into a huge group show. It was organized by something like the Deutsches Kunstverein, something like that, at the Neue National Gallery. It's titled Schnecke, or Snail, 1973. This is Distemper on Canvas, 51 by 63. And, well, there were a lot of interesting people that happened to be in that show that I didn't even know anything about. I was a young GI from Idaho. I hadn't taken any major art history courses at that time, and I certainly wasn't familiar with what was starting to pop in Germany at the time. It's titled Dubschwan, Roof Tile. It's also Distemper on Canvas, 59 by 57. But there were some other people in the show. I think Immendorf might have been in the show. Baselitz was in the show. Okay, this is 1967. I think Gerhard Richter was starting to do some things, but I believe he was over more around Cologne. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Lupertz was more of a Berlin guy. Zelt 43, 43. Dithyramb 1965. This is also distemper. Actually, it's interesting that a lot of these are distemper, and they're on a very sheer linen. And gosh, I guess that's kind of a traditional way for these people back in the 60s and 70s to work. They could work very fast. I guess that was even probably easier than getting acrylic paint at that time, maybe. It's a nice wall. And then I started seeing the new Germans, the Neue Wilden, after I got to New York, so in the early 80s, 81, 82. I think Anselm Kiefer was probably the the most prominent, but there was a whole group of the Berlin painters, Lupertz, Immendorf, Baselitz, Salome, some other people. One of my friends, Wolfgang Pettrick, was kind of involved in that scene. He was a Berliner, but I think he was a little older. He was helped form a little movement before the Neue Wilden that was called critical realism. And I'm thinking that a lot of this is kind of like German pop art, maybe. It's a very bold, fast, quickly painted soccer ball. Oh, see if you can figure out the name of this one. Yeah. Fußball. Well, Berlin in the late 60s, after the wall went up, became a very interesting place because the government was, they would subsidize people that would move to Berlin. And I guess if you didn't want to be drafted into the German Wehrmacht, into the army, you could go to Berlin. And I think also that they encouraged people to study there, and so they really pushed the academies there. The Hochschule für Kunst I actually checked out and was thinking about going to school there. Dithyramb sand pile, 32 by 48. Oh gosh, some of these look like they might have something on the other side as well. It says it's distemper. Okay, my understanding about that is that it's dry pigments mixed in glue. Normally it would be like rabbit skin glue, the same kind of glue you use to prime your canvas with. Okay, this is a very famous image. Dithyramb hovering, 1964. And I've probably seen this one reproduced in at least 3 or 4 German art history books. (78 by 76 inches). Now, I think we saw some shows by Talar a couple of years ago at Chime Reed, and he was using distemper. And I think another New York painter, Gregory Amanoff, went through a period where he was using distemper as well. Actually, impressed with how well this is held up. See if we can squeeze this one in the frame. Baumstamm, tree trunk. It's 119 by 46. Okay, this is one of the oldest pieces in the show. This is untitled Donald Duck series. 1963. Distemper on canvas. This is 78 by 40. Well, I looked at this and I immediately thought of Carl Apple and Anxer Yorn, the Cobra artists. Also, I'm looking at this and it looks like there is, this is actually painted on paper, and the paper is maybe attached over the canvas. Got another early piece over here. It's also untitled Donald Duck series. 1963. I like the look of the collage paper surface that he's working on. And we won't spend too much time looking at this because we don't want to bother the ladies at the reception desk.
Please put your password in. It's going to send a notification to your phone.
This is titled Babylon, 1975, 63 by 51. And they're saying this is distemper on canvas as well, but I think he's got some, I don't know what, maybe some modeling paste or some gesso that he's kind of built up some texture with. Also, I was always interested in the way that, at least in some of his later works, that Lupertz incorporates the frame, and it actually becomes a pretty integral part of the painting and the composition. So I think it's nice the way that this section here is starting to get a little more complicated in his designs and getting some nice juicy color things happening. It's titled Palette. And they're saying this one is distemper as well, but I don't know, I think that he's got oil paint in there. Well, maybe not, huh? Well, I've read a lot of commentary about Lupertz. I've been visiting his shows whenever I can, and one of the things that I like, and a lot of people have commented on, is that Lupertz is a big fan of the history of painting, and so he does a lot of work that relates to previous styles. I was reading something, he was talking about he's moved beyond the avant-garde, that the avant-garde was now old hat, and that the only way that you could go beyond the avant-garde was to go backwards. I guess that was kind of one of the theories of the trans-avantgarde, kind of a theory that popped up in the late 70s with the neo-expressionists. This is called M.A. Dithyramb I. So as I was saying, he was doing a lot of this in a contemporary time frame with Gerhard Richter. Okay, one of the things that these frames do is they really make the paintings stand out as objects, and that's another thing that I like about Lupertz. He has a sense of the painting as this almost sculptural object. It's titled Horse. It's also distemper on canvas, 1976. Okay, but now he's using a little heavier, looks like cotton duck. Okay, we'll go into the last gallery, which features the drawings. And I may not give you the titles of all these. I'll just kind of look at them, comment a little. Oh, so I got some pieces pasted on there. And I would say that the main sheet is probably about 18 by 12 or 13 inches. Looks like pen and crayon. This is tunnel, 8 by 11, gouache on paper. Untitled, 1964. There's another tunnel. So these are untitled. Pastel on paper, 16 by 25. 1964. Okay, gee, this looks like it's just on a piece of newsprint sketch paper. Pastel on paper, 1964. Well, I'm sure that painting in Berlin in 1962 or 63 would have been a very interesting time to be there. A lot of things you'd be dealing with. This is Untitled Sandpile, 1968, pencil crayon gouache on cardboard. And as I said, I remember seeing some work by Lupertz and Baselitz and Immendorf, and I think the other person that was a real presence in Germany at that time, we're talking the late 60s, early 70s, was Joseph Beuys. Untitled Tunnel Flowers. It's just taken out of his little notebook. Untitled, 1964. Felt tip pen, gouache, and oil on paper. Okay, so this is much more of the loose, splashy kind of Cobra stuff. Although I think Lupertz has got a kind of his own sense of symmetry. It's almost like medieval heraldry. This is Untitled 1964. Felt tip pen, gouache, and oil on paper. James Kalm reporting on Markus Lupertz. The Dithyramb paintings, 1963 to 1976. You can like this, share, subscribe. Link it up to all your social media sites, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, and reviews below. I just ask you to say, as always, thank you, Kate. Thank you.